Hi, I'm Kirsten Dupart with AWS Training and Certification. Welcome to an introductory video on the AWS Service Catalog. This service enables organizations to create and then manage catalogs of approved IT services. I've been with Amazon for a year and a half now, and I'm currently responsible for curriculum development within the Training and Certification organization. To begin this video, I'm going to start us off with a light introduction, and then I'm going to do a little bit deeper of a dive into an overview. We'll cover some use cases. So, what is the AWS Service Catalog exactly? Organizations benefit from the AWS Service Catalog because their end users can find and then launch only the approved products that they need from a catalog that administrators control. The AWS Service Catalog enables you to create, manage, and distribute catalogs of approved IT services to your end users. This means that end users can then access the products they need quickly and deploy them easily. Consider the following scenario for a moment. Say your end users need applications deployed, but there are more end users than there are admins who are able to deploy those applications. Building and maintaining these apps takes a lot of time and effort, not to mention that if they are regulated workloads, compliance requirements need to be applied and maintained. If only there were a service that allowed end users to launch applications while still giving the admin the ability to ensure that all of their security controls have been applied. Enter the AWS Service Catalog. Let's take a closer look at this service and some use cases. So, how exactly does this work? Say an end user needs to deploy an application in their AWS account, but they don't understand all of the resources or how to set it up. They could create a ticket and go through IT, but oftentimes that leads to a bottleneck and a waiting period of a couple days or more. Instead, administrators can author a template or templates for their end users. This template can then be handed to them and deployed. But for each service put into a template, the required identity and access management, or IAM permissions, will need to go to. And administrators probably don't want to give end users access to all of those permissions. Instead, admins can create IAM roles within the AWS Service Catalog, so that the templates inherit the correct level of permissions necessary to launch the app. So you can see that within the AWS Service Catalog, there are two distinct user types, administrators and end users. Catalog administrators can create portfolios and register products. Admins are also responsible for authoring the templates that define how the product should be built, and the resources and security controls that need to be applied. End users are the people who need an app deployed in their account. They can browse the AWS Service Catalog portfolio to find the product they need, and they can launch that template without having to cut a ticket and wait for someone in the IT department to build it for them. Admins get some peace of mind, as the end users do not need to have the IAM permission to access all of the AWS services they need in order to launch the resources defined in the AWS CloudFormation template. They only need access to browse and launch the products. This is because the AWS Service Catalog assumes the role to launch that template for that user, and the role has the needed IAM permissions. With the AWS Service Catalog, you can control which products and versions of products are available, ensuring compliance with corporate standards. You also control the configuration of available products and their permissions. A product is an IT service that you want to make available for deployment. A product consists of one or more AWS resources. Additionally, the AWS Service Catalog provides a single location where organizations can centrally manage catalogs of IT services. You could control the use of IT services by specifying constraints, which enable you to restrict the ways that specific AWS resources can be deployed. All of this means that end users can quickly discover and deploy IT services using a self-service portal. When it comes to best practices, you should apply IAM permissions to your products so you can control who can view and modify your products and portfolios. Applying the IAM least privilege principle to each product is necessary to avoid unapproved operations, so make sure your permissions are set correctly. You should also use constraints because these restrict the ways that specific AWS resources can be deployed for a product. There are two types of constraints. There are template and launch constraints. Template constraints allow you to reuse generic AWS CloudFormation templates and apply restrictions on a per product or a per portfolio basis. You should embed your compliance requirements here. Launch constraints allow you to restrict user permissions without impacting their ability to provision products from the catalog. So, who should use the AWS Service Catalog? The AWS Service Catalog was developed for organizations, IT teams, and managed service providers who need to centralize policies. It allows IT administrators to manage AWS resources and services. It provides large organizations a standard method of provisioning cloud resources for thousands of users. And it's also well suited for small teams where front-end development managers can maintain a standard dev and test environment. For example, for developers, you can define a portfolio of dev environments like an LAMP stack with approved versions that can be used for software development and testing. You could also define a portfolio for the marketing organizations that includes campaign websites and market analysis applications. All right, so let's summarize what we've learned. The AWS Service Catalog allows administrators to create, manage, and distribute catalogs of products to end users who can then access the products they need in an AWS account. Admins can control who has access to each product, enforcing compliance with business policies. The AWS Service Catalog allows your organization to benefit from increased agility by removing that bottleneck that the IT department may have created by having to launch and maintain these applications. Again, I'm Kirsten Dupart with AWS Training and Certification. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a little bit about the AWS Service Catalog today.